You already messed up 2026. Except, you didn't ruin it by failing a goal. You ruined it in a much smaller, quieter moment. You messed it up the same way you messed up last week when you told yourself, "I'll start tomorrow." You felt relieved because nothing bad happened. Then again and again, until tomorrow became a week. Even right now, there's something you're keeping for another moment. This happens when your brain enters what I call a negotiation loop. You know the task. Your prefrontal cortex signals effort and delay. Your dopamine system scans for faster relief. Then your brain makes a trade. Not now. Later is smarter. Dopamine drops back toward baseline. And just like that, the tension disappears. And your nervous system marks that delay as a reward. That moment, your brain learned something dangerous. It learned that your promises don't mean consequences. Every time you negotiate, your brain learns that postponement restores comfort, so it raises the cost of action next time. By the end of the year, it's not that you lack discipline, it's that your internal controller has been overridden too many times to enforce consequences. And once your mind stops believing you, no new year, no clean calendar, no fresh motivation can overcome that. Because 2026 didn't fail because you don't want it badly enough. It will fail because you've trained your brain to believe that effort is optional. And if you still think the problem is motivation, then you're still looking in the wrong place. Nothing magical happens when the calendar flips or that timer reaches all zeros. Your brain doesn't reset. Your dopamine baseline doesn't refresh. Your control system doesn't upgrade itself because the year changed. All that happens is this. The same architecture keeps running. The same brain that negotiated its way out of effort yesterday is the one you're asking to suddenly enforce discipline in 2026. You are trying to install high-performance software on corrupted hardware. You want the 5 a.m. output, but you're running the snooze button identity. You want the business empire, but your dopamine loop is wired for 2 a.m. YouTube. You want discipline, but you're still someone who negotiates with themselves every single day. That's where you're making the mistake. You don't fail because you don't want it badly enough. You fail because you're trying to execute future goals with a present system that has no enforcement power. So this isn't a video about goals. It's not about planning your year, and it's certainly not about buying another course. It's about the internal machinery that decides, before you feel it, whether effort happens or gets delayed. The foundation is because your brain isn't stupid. It knows when you're lying, and when you set goals that contradict who you actually are right now, your brain does something fascinating. It kills the goal before you even start. We're going to open that machine, identify where control gets overridden, and show you why, unless that structure changes, 2026 will look identical no matter how serious you feel right now. When we negotiate with ourselves, the negotiation loop doesn't feel like failure. That's why it always gets accepted. It starts the moment a task enters awareness. Your prefrontal cortex identifies effort, time cost, uncertainty, delayed payoff. That signal creates tension. It doesn't cause fear, but a cognitive load. At the same time, your dopamine system scans for alternatives. Something easier, something immediate, something that restores baseline. This is where people think they're making a decision or they're making a plan. Truth is, you're not. You're regulating discomfort. When you delay a task, dopamine doesn't spike. It stabilizes, and your nervous system prefers stability over progress. That relief, small, quiet, barely noticeable, becomes feedback. Your brain logs the data. Work creates internal stress. Internal stress causes your brain discomfort. Discomfort isn't accepted, and avoidance reduced internal stress. So it learns to prioritize avoidance. Now here's the part most people never learn. The brain doesn't care why you delayed. It only tracks outcomes. And there's another layer most people never account for. Before effort even begins, your brain often gets paid in advance. The moment you imagine a future version of yourself succeeding, consistent, focused, disciplined, your dopamine system activates. Not because you did the work, but because you simulated the reward. Dopamine doesn't just respond to achievement. It responds to anticipated outcomes. So when you mentally rehearse success, your brain partially resolves the tension without action. The system reads, reward received, cost avoided. This is why planning feels energizing, why thinking about next year feels productive, why imagining change creates relief. But relief is the problem. You've now associated non-action with emotional payoff. So when it's time to execute, your brain isn't asking, should we work? It's asking, why incur cost when reward already happened? That's how intention quietly undermines enforcement. You don't lose motivation randomly, you spend it prematurely. And so whether you say, I'm tired, I'll do it later, I need a better plan, the system reads the same result. Effort was proposed, effort was rejected, relief followed. That's one completed loop. Run that loop often enough and something will definitely change. The dopamine baseline adjusts. Tasks that once felt neutral now feel heavier. Starting requires more activation. Your brain predicts discomfort before you begin. So you experience this as loss of motivation. But motivation wasn't lost, it was downregulated. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex starts losing credibility, and even worse, it loses authority. Because authority in the brain is predictive, it belongs to the system that has been right most often. If your planning voice keeps promising action and your behavior keeps proving otherwise, the brain learns to discount future intent. This is why planning feels good, but execution feels impossible. Planning creates a symbolic sense of control. Execution requires real control. Over time, the brain separates the two. So by the time a new year approaches, something is already broken. You can want change, you can believe in change, but your internal system has learned a rule. Intent does not equal consequence. And a system with no consequences has no reason to comply. This is why advice fails. Set clearer goals doesn't work because goals live in the future. Try harder doesn't work because effort has already been marked as costly. Be disciplined doesn't work since discipline requires authority, not desire. What you're dealing with isn't a mindset issue, it's a feedback imbalance. Comfort is immediate, cost is delayed, and your brain always sides with the side that pays now. So unless that imbalance is corrected, the pattern continues. Not because you're weak, but because the machine is doing exactly what it was trained to do. And that's what we're about to reverse. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Your brain doesn't listen to intentions, it listens to what actually happens. And right now, nothing happens when you don't act. This is where your identity actually comes from. Not from what you say, not from what you want, but from what your brain can reliably predict. Your brain builds identity the same way it builds expectations about the world, through repeated outcomes. If effort is proposed and nothing enforces it, the system predicts, we don't do that. That prediction becomes identity. And since there's no immediate cost, no enforcement, no consequence your nervous system respects, the system keeps negotiating. Because you've been giving your brain too much freedom. Freedom doesn't feel dangerous because it doesn't hurt immediately. But biologically, freedom means options, and options force the brain to evaluate cost every time. Every evaluation reactivates the negotiation loop. So the more freedom you have, the more often your brain rehearses avoidance. That rehearsal is training. Effort enters awareness, discomfort rises, avoidance restores baseline, and the brain learns negotiation works. So if your brain only listens to consequences, the question becomes, how do you reintroduce consequences without turning your life into punishment? You don't do it with guilt. You don't do it with motivation. You do it with constraints. Constraints are consequences that happen before negotiation. You need to remove the option to argue. A fixed start time you don't debate. An environment where distraction isn't available. A rule that says this happens whether I feel ready or not. Not because you're forcing yourself, but because the system no longer asks permission. This is what restores authority. When action happens consistently without negotiation, the brain updates its prediction model.
The prefrontal cortex stops proposing, it starts commanding. Effort stops feeling like a debate and starts feeling like a default. Not because you became disciplined, but because the machine learned a new rule. Delay no longer restores comfort. And once that rule changes, everything else follows. You don't need more freedom in 2026, you need fewer choices. Because the version of you that finally wins isn't more motivated, it's more constrained. So if you made it this far, here's a rule that decides whether 2026 changes or not. If a behavior has no immediate consequence, your brain will never respect it. Your future doesn't respond to intentions, it responds to what is enforced. That means every time you ask yourself, how do I feel about doing this? You're already negotiating.
The only question that matters is simpler. What happens if I don't? If the answer is nothing, the pattern continues. Same delays, same negotiations, same year dressed up with new plans. But the moment inaction costs something, attention, money, comfort, reputation, the brain adapts. So stop waiting for January to give you momentum. Stop hoping motivation shows up. Look at your life as it is right now and ask, where is effort optional? Where is delay painless? Where does nothing happen when I don't act? That's where your future is being decided. Not in 2026, not on a clean calendar, right here. Thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.